All right, I wanted to go over a couple of reasons why groundwater flooding can infiltrate your house. Okay, so this image here just depicts your foundation walls and your footings, okay? And that's your foundation structure for your house. Now in that, you have your concrete floor, which could have your finished floor in it, and below that there's a stone and dirt mix. Side here we can show that we have the lawn or grade outside of your house. So that's the actual ground outside. And I wanted to show you what happens when it rains, okay? So rain is falling down and it creates what's called a groundwater table. All right, and then that rises and falls with how much rain we have. Now the groundwater table is creating pressure on the wall, on your foundation wall, but thanks to the waterproofing installed, whether it be tar, dimple board, or a combination of the two, that water should never infiltrate your foundation walls. However, that groundwater is putting pressure on your concrete floor, okay? And finding its way through little cracks or imperfections, like where the concrete meets the foundation wall in your basement, and that can cause ponding or pooling, which will eventually become a flood. Now, it can get so bad that the flooding inside your house will match the groundwater table outside. And that's where you've heard of houses that have a couple of feet of water in the basement during a really bad storm. Now, this right here is called hydrostatic pressure, okay? It's the actual pressure created by the groundwater pushing up into your finished space. What we can do is we can install what's called a sump basin. A sump basin is designed specifically to collect groundwater, okay? Now it has perforations or holes all along its surface area around the exterior of this basin, and it makes it able to collect the actual groundwater. Now, when the water is coming in from that high water table, it starts to find the sump basin and it will go into it. And in that basin, we have what's called a sump pump. And that pump pumps the water safely away from your house. All right? Now, having a sump pump is fantastic. Now what we've done is we've essentially made sure that the water never gets close enough to your finished space to cause a flood. But if the power goes out, or if there's a mechanical failure on that sump pump, then we must have a backup pump in there too. And what the backup does is it has its own power source, making sure that it doesn't rely on your power being on to prevent your house from flooding. So in our system, we have a battery-powered backup pump, a completely separate pump that will last up to 8 days if the power is out, ensuring your basement never experiences a flood at any reasonable amount of time. Now, the water table is still high outside, but now what we've effectively done is made sure that the water table within your own space in your house never gets high enough, causing a flood in your space. Now, we have what's called a footing here, and that footing's at the base of your foundation wall, and that's what your house is built upon. Now that footing, because it's on compressed soil, creates a barrier, a buffer, slowing down that water from coming into your home and allowing enough time for us to be able to collect it effectively in your sump basin. Now, some customers have asked me, like, Jake, I've got the sump system installed on one end of my house. How is it going to prevent a flood on the other end of the house? And the reason why it does prevent the flooding is because water will find its own level. So if you create the new level significantly below your floor, then that sump pump will maintain that level across your footings, again, because they create a barrier from outside to inside. Thanks so much for watching. If you have any more questions or want any more information, please feel free to visit our website.